The research approach I'm going to talk about is systematic literature review, and this is different from the kind of literature review that you might use to sort of preface a research dissertation, which is just summarising some of the key themes in a field. A systematic review attempts to present in clear ways the totality of what's been published on a particular question or topic over a period of time in the academic literature. And this methodology is quite common in the health sciences, particularly in medical research, where a lot of researchers produce what's called a meta-analysis, where you take a group of published experiments, trials, data sets that address the same questions, say the relationship between, in education you might be interested in the relationship between phonics and reading age, and you combine them together so you can measure the cumulative effect as if it was one big experiment with a huge data sample. Systematic reviews are useful in education if you want to show a cumulative effect like that, or if you want to measure trends in research over time. So that's what I've used them for in the past in my research around fundamental British values, where I examined the trends and themes in everything that had been written about school values in the UK over a period of about 10 years. The advantages of using a systematic literature review is that if it's used correctly, it should eliminate some of the bias in your literature review, because you're reporting everything in a field rather than cherry-picking some theorists or some authors whose work you find interesting. Some of the challenges, though, can be making sure that your research criteria are broad enough to include everything of relevance without being so broad that you have thousands of papers that you don't need. Given how diverse the research methods can be in education as well, it can be difficult to know how to combine, for example, a large-scale survey and a qualitative case study when you're trying to report results from a range of different studies. In my own research, as I said, I carried out the systematic literature review of everything that had been written on values and ethos in British schools since 2005, and coded the abstracts for the kinds of research that was carried out. And what I found was that research at the level of policies and principles almost always tended to be theoretical, while the empirical work was always focused on the classroom. There didn't seem to be any research that tried to bridge policy, the various mediating bodies like local authorities, church, house, Ofsted, and classroom practice. And that's what I'm trying to do in my subsequent British Academy research into how the Prevent agenda is changing values in schools. So systematic literature reviews can be good if there's plenty written about a field, or if the kind of research you need to carry out to test your hypothesis would require too much large sample data collection over too many different contexts to be achievable in a single paper or a single dissertation. If you're interested in this approach, I'd say a good place to start is with Booth, Papaioannou and Sutton's systematic approaches to a successful literature review. That gives you a good overview, I think, of this methodology and how you'd go about carrying it out. So to sum up, systematic literature reviews allow you to map an entire academic discourse or to measure the cumulative effect of a large number of similar published research studies.